Dear Activision Blizzard, if you are watching and hear the cries of many, please don't shy away from what is right. Your games mark a huge point in my journey through the fight through my life. I have cried many and I will cry once more. Please listen to this message and don't ignore from the great Photoshopper Edgar Allan Poe. My favorite game by Blizzard is Overwatch. Overwatch is a game derived from the game Titan that was cancelled in 2014. Development on Titan was started in 2007, meaning it took 7 years of development for Titan, which became Overwatch, as Overwatch was announced 2014. It was later released to home consoles after open beta on May 24th, 2016. The project was led by Jeff Kaplan and is a multiplayer first-person hero-based shooter. Notorious for its love and hatred by many, and for its toxic fan base.
So instead of saying like let's switch up or do a different strategy, you're like, oh, let's throw the game and turn off my mic and snowball for 3 minutes. I see. Excellent strategy.
Overwatch sold over roughly 50 million copies. So what do I love about Overwatch so much?
My favorite part about Overwatch was the workshop game mode. I learned so much about coding, had so much fun experimenting, loved the fan-made experience, and it was so fun until I got grounded for buying keys for Rocket League loot boxes. And then I was no longer allowed to renew my PlayStation Plus, which started the downfall of my love for Overwatch, before something we discuss later.
The heroes in Overwatch are Ana, Ashe, Baptiste, Bastion, Brigitte, Diva, Doomfist, Genji, Hanzo, Junkrat, Lucio McCree, Mei, Mercy, Moira, Orisa, Pharah, Reaper, Reinhardt, Roadhog, Soldier 76, Sombra, Symmetra, Torbjorn, Tracer, Widowmaker, Winston, Wrecking Ball, Zarya, and Zenyatta. Now you may be perplexed or wonder as to why I didn't mention Echo or Sigma, but I decided to purposely not mention them because, like many fans of the first-gen Pokemon that refuse to acknowledge later gens, I refuse to acknowledge the characters that came out after I stopped playing. These characters all differ in many ways, some having insanely high skill caps, some just holding primary fire, and the others are just Brigitte. One thing similar between all these characters, however, is that they all are far left commies. Although a lot of people might disagree with me on this, I love the voice chat and find a group system. Although it might have changed now, at the time of when I last played, there was no way to keep someone from rejoining your group after you kicked them. In the find a group section, I always made my own groups. There I met people that I still talk to this day, and had all sorts of fun talking about politics, telling offensive jokes, and having a lot of fun.
The morning, in the time before the light.
Exactly.
Master of Puppets.
That's how it goes.
Of course, I don't know what it is like now. And to those that might ask why I don't quickly check, I refuse to boot up the game, and I would already have deleted my Blizzard account had they not kept me from doing so. If you weren't living under a rock in 2019, you should be aware of the Blizzard boycott, in which a professional Hearthstone player known as Blitzchung was banned from Grandmasters tournaments for a year and taken all of his prize pool money out for speaking out on the human rights violations done to his home people, the people of Hong Kong, of course, in which their rights were violated from China. Now this depicts a much broader problem with current society, as we have a problem and a growing threat of American companies that don't have American interests at heart. This trend is growing so rampant that our President Donald Trump ran in his 2016 campaign based off companies leaving America. This trend of companies that leave America, go to China or any other foreign country to benefit off of cheap labor, to then sell their products to the American people at a price much higher than what it took to create the product is a huge issue. This trend, however, ignores the bigger underlying issue, which is that these companies hate America. 5% of Activision Blizzard is owned by tech giant Tencent, which is notorious for its affiliations with the Chinese government. It's also known for helping to censor stuff for the Chinese government. Now, a lot of people might not have heard of Tencent. This is due to how they and American companies have been hiding their massive influence and power when it comes to politics in Asia. This, of course, is coming in to what has been deemed the Asian century, in which Asia, especially China, is expected to dominate almost every single field. Despite its lack of familiarity stateside, Tencent is absolutely massive and owns many massive companies and products, not only in China, but across the world. Without getting too much in all that they own, here's a quick run through of some of their biggest products and companies. Tencent owns Tencent QQ, 647.6 million active users as of 2017. WeChat, estimated 1 billion users in 2019. Riot Games, which is the creator of League of Legends, 40% of Epic Games, a massive part of the Call of Duty franchise. Wii Games, similar to Steam, but had 200 active users as compared to Steam's 125 million, and have almost a whole share of the television market in China, and 5% of Activision Blizzard. The situation with Blitzchung might remind you of a similar situation that happened ironically at the same period of time during the Hong Kong protests, in which NBA Rockets general manager Daryl Morey tweeted, "Fight for freedom, stand with Hong Kong." The NBA, in response, said that it offended many of our friends and fans in China, which is just another way to say it offended Tencent and the Chinese government. The NBA began to kick out fans that would speak about it, or hold Hong Kong flags, and in response also said the values of their league supporting individuals educating themselves. They, of course, don't support individuals, not the individuals in Hong Kong, and not Mori. And it's really evil of them to suggest that Mori was uneducated for his tweet, and was just trying to educate himself. Braun also said that he was uneducated on the topic. He, as in Mori. He wanted to speak out against cruelty and got punished and backlash from even other NBA players. LeBron James in response said, "Yes, we do have freedom of speech, but at times there are ramifications for the negative that can happen when you're not thinking about others." This, of course, makes zero sense, and it's evil to suggest because Mori, through his tweet, was caring about others. No, LeBron, this is why we should have free speech, so we can speak out against authoritarian regimes. This right to free speech, of course, Hong Kong doesn't have. And this is partly thanks to Tencent. Houston Rockets, the NBA's biggest team in China, thanks to Yao Ming, was suspended from live streaming and is censored by Tencent Sports. This obviously is very similar to the Blizzard issue, which Link covered really well. Link, in the description, this of course wasn't new for Blizzard. They had a history of being anti-meme and being a super SJW. Again, great video by Link. Link in the description. So, is this just Activision Blizzard, Tencent, or the NBA that likes to censor content? Of course not. TikTok censors for China, Zoom gives info to China, Google tries to make a search engine called Dragonfly, which censors things for China. Apple removed an app that aided Hong Kong protesters in tracking police, and removed a Taiwanese flag emoji from Hong Kong iPhones, and they use sweatshops. Disney ESPN has a memo that prohibits support for Hong Kong protesters. Delta Airlines removed Tibet and Taiwan as countries on their websites. Nike removes merchandise in China of the Houston Rockets and benefits off cheap Chinese sweatshops. Viacom/Paramount Pictures censored the Taiwan flag in a jacket shown in the trailer for Top Gun Maverick. Twitter, used by China to censor what is used, but is a bit more complex as Twitter has actually somewhat fought back. And even YouTube's CEO, Susan Wojcicki, said she would censor content critical of the World Health Organization, which trusted and reported studies by China despite reports and knowledge they had from Taiwan. So dear Activision Blizzard, don't be like the rest. Look at your past and change your future. The people of Hong Kong are praying for you to do so.